Hello, miscellaneous here, taking you to yet another offbeat, interesting and quirky tourist attraction. Today I've been to Leigh-on-Sea, which is just up the road from larger Southend-on-Sea in Essex. What's so quirky about Leigh-on-Sea, you may well ask? After all, it's a well-visited tourist attraction. However, I'm going to take you to see the offbeat things. I'm going to take you to see the conduit, which is a stone which marks the site of the fountain, which was on the stream which once fed the village of Leigh. I'm then going to take you to an art gallery that's filled with working artists, and I'm then going to take you through the old town to the Heritage Centre. Finally, I'm going to cross Gypsy Bridge and take you to a fashion store with some wonderful inspirational quotes outside. As always, don't forget to hit like, don't forget to hit subscribe, and don't forget to click that notifications bell. Come and take a walk in my shoes, and I'll see you in the video.
We left the railway station and walked over Belton Bridge. The town sits on the mudflats of the Thames estuary, and this is very much an industrial area. On a daily basis, local merchants catch, land, process and trade mainly shellfish and whitebait. Leigh-on-Sea is commonly referred to simply as Leigh, and has taken part in the fishing industry for nearly 1,000 years. Overlooking the water and the mast topping the sea to the left of the water is the world's longest pier in neighbouring Southend. The mast over to the right is Kent. Cod, haddock, mackerel, sea bass, lobster, crab, shrimps, whelks, mussels and oysters all pass through here and are on sale in local shops and restaurants. Walking down into the town, with its smattering of seaside pubs and restaurants, with interesting names such as the Crooked Billet. I thought this made for a pretty picture, and particularly liked the green Old Leigh buoy. The first time I went was in September, on the same day that Queen Elizabeth died. The water looked quite clear as we hugged the seafront, being careful not to fall in as not every section had barriers. On a safer section, looking back the way we'd walked, and there was plenty of evidence that these are still working docks, such as this landing deck looming up out of the water. Historically, many of the fishing trawlers were boilies, boomless cutter rigs which were possibly named for having an amidships boiler for cooking shrimp. I don't think I saw any boats resembling a boilie, but it's hard to tell when the sails haven't been hoisted. The back of the Peterboat pub and restaurant to the left, and alley dock to the right. The Peterboat serves quite an extensive seafood menu. We walked up onto the High Street, which runs parallel to the seafront, and Old Leigh Studios is a commercial art gallery with artist studios. These paintings are spectacular and are by Ian Smith and Sheila Appleton. Both have shades of Vincent van Gogh about them. The gallery was originally established in 1991 and now houses 4 artists. These paintings, and the one in the next clip, are by Sheila Appleton, and the ceramics by Julie O'Sullivan. The latter studied at Central St Martin's College of Art and Design. The studios contain 2 kilns. I chatted to one of the artists and he said it was a nightmare trying to work there with the kilns far away during the heatwave we'd had that summer. The coal hole looks to be some kind of Sea Scouts meeting place. I took a photo because I liked the name, but there didn't appear to be much going on behind the windows. This curious stone sits between the 2 sections of the coal hole. Known locally as the conduit, it marks the site of the conduit fountain at the head of the spring which gave the old village its water supply. I popped my head into Sarah's tea gardens and took this picture because I thought it looked so cute yet rustic. I especially love the welly planters. Nowadays in the old foundry, you can sit and relax with a cup of coffee or a cocktail. Leigh Heritage Centre is located in the old smithy, and you can see the sign for adjoining Plum's Cottage, a substantially rebuilt and restored fisherman's cottage. On this day the centre was closed, but you can make out the historic range in this picture taken through the window. Apologies for the quality of these through the window shots. This looks like a recreation of a blacksmith's forge at the back. By the side of Leigh Heritage Centre, looking through at Plum's Cottage, and here's a reflected vein old tart and a fishy on a dishy. A tray of mussels at the window of this living area, with the fireplace and dresser visible. The kitchen and stairs. Since this September 2022 visit, I've been to Leigh-on-Sea twice, the last time being in December 2023. On the latter two occasions, I was able to go inside Leigh Heritage Centre. The cottage bedroom, and unfortunately, this photo taken from outside of the window up a flight of stairs doesn't give away too much. To the right, there is a child's bed. Behind the pillar, there is the adult's bed, and behind the radiator, there is a baby's crib. The floods of 1953 affected this East Coast area badly. This plaque sits on the side wall of the Heritage Centre and marks how high the water came up to. The watermark, and I managed to salvage some video footage from this trip. It was December and the Heritage Centre was open. It's free to enter, although they do appreciate a donation. I did mention that my nan had a range like this one to the left. Postcards. And to the right is the blacksmith's forge. This place is certainly worth 20 minutes to half an hour of your time. Walking through to Plum's cottage, which is a fisherman's cottage. We're walking into the living room and you'll see a dresser and fishies on dishes. Traditional coal fire. I don't know if that's a cushion or a throw on the seat, but I do know that it's made of rags. My mum had a friend who used to make them. My nan also had a wringer like this, and a bathtub like that. My mum had some kitchen utensils like this though, and they're coming back in fashion nowadays, these oldie-worldy kind of things. What goes around will come around, I guess. Up the stairs, and the first bed we see is the marital bed. It looks rather uncomfortable, but again, these brass bed frames have come back in fashion. Table and chair, Bubba's crib, and a child's bed here. I wonder if this room doesn't describe a marriage in its fairly early years. Can you imagine if they'd been married 10 years? They'd probably have 8 or 9 kids. A mirror and a quick flash, and a fishing net to remind you of the occupation of the man of the house. Through the window down here, you can see the outside stairs where I have stood and taken photos through the windows. And the final thing I'll show you is the construction of the cottage here. There seemed to be a lot of construction work happening locally. I took this photo as I rather liked the appealing skinny house over the other side of the railway line. This part of the town is known as Old Leigh, or to locals is simply the Old Town. A smack is a traditional fishing boat, not a punch in the head. The Old Town dates back to the 11th century, gets a mention in the Domesday Book of 1086, and was once the primary shipping route to London, by the 16th century becoming a prosperous port. Here we are looking down into a slipway. But by the 1740s, the village was in decline as an anchorage, as the deep water access became silted up. A closer view of this slipway shows the condition of the water here. Walking up the slope of the rail bridge whilst looking down on the Mayflower, which is a fish and chip restaurant and takeaway. Looking down the tracks and over the water towards Southend, and Leigh is considered a commuter town as it's only 40 miles from London and well served by the railway. The same view juxtaposed against a moody December sky. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to click on the notifications bell. And you also might want to go and check out my blog as well. Bell Wharf Beach sits just past Ye Old Smack and the Mayflower. Lower Walk is also known as the Cinder Path. The walk takes you behind Essex Yacht Club. These few photos are taken from our last walk down here, just a few days before Christmas, when the wind was a bit whippy and the sky on the moody side. Approaching Gypsy Bridge with its curly-whirly end. The low December sun reflected on the mudflats of the Thames estuary. Gypsy Bridge connects the town to the beach. From the centre of Gypsy Bridge, you can make out Chalkwell Station, which is the next railway station along the line from Leigh-on-Sea. This photo looking back over Gypsy Bridge was taken during our September visit. By that time of the day, it had begun tipping down. This is the Broadway where the modern shops are. Like many towns in the past 30 years, Leigh-on-Sea has seen a change in demographics with the rise of out-of-town shopping centres and the increase in online shopping. At first, I did describe Leigh-on-Sea as a tad more pretentious than nearby Southend. After all, it sports art galleries, mini-spas, restaurants, cafes and boutiques, and has more than its fair share of ladies who lunch here. I decided that I was being a tad unfair though. Leigh-on-Sea has simply adapted accordingly, and it's nice to see small individually run businesses thriving in this day and age that's dominated by chain stores. One chain you don't see much of though is this one, and that's Wimpy, the burger chain. I used to love their food as a teenager. Here we have St Clement's Church with its 80-foot tower. It was built in the late 15th, early 16th century, and on its site a church has stood possibly as far back as the 13th century. Leigh Library was completed in 1838 and was once a rectory, although only 1/4 of the original building still stands today. It was Grade 2 listed in 1974. Several little streets full of shops veer off to the sides, and, as I mentioned before, it's good to see individual businesses thriving. My favourite shop in Leigh-on-Sea is down this little street. It is a haberdashery called The Dressmaker. I would think that my background is in fashion after all, and I still like to play around making and altering clothes. The shop has inspirational quotes in its window, and here's one from fashionista Karl Lagerfeld. He's quite correct. The only right time to wear sportswear is when working out, that and at no time otherwise. You can see the vain old tart reflected here, and if you look closely, you will see that the vain old tart is wearing her crown necklace, which she hadn't worn for some time. Why is this significant, you may ask? Well, when I was on the way home from this visit to Leigh-on-Sea, Queen Elizabeth II, the person who really wore the crown, died. I just found it an interesting coincidence. Another quote that I adhere to, this time by the grand dame of fashion, Vivienne Westwood. Understated dressing is boring. Overstate everything, darlings. I just had to take a picture of this little house by the railway. I just thought the reddish fuchsia roses so pretty. Further along, and this lovely peach tree surrounded someone's front window. My first thought was of a Bellini, which is a champagne and peach puree cocktail. It would be. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Come and join me again soon for another miscellaneous adventure.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, don't forget to hit like and click on that notifications bell. Ta-ta for now, and I'll see you next time.